Today I'm very much excited because I'm coming to make a comparison between United States of America and Canada, especially on the component of international students and the possibility of international students doing the adjustment of status of becoming permanent resident. In other words, if you go to study as international student in the United States, how the pathway from being international student to become a green card holder or rather permanent resident compared to if you go to Canada and become international student, later transitioning to become a permanent resident. And if you want, you can become a citizen of Canada or a citizen of the United States, which is the easier path. In order to do that, in this video, I'm going to do a breakdown of the process based on the particular criteria which I see will be a very good thing to consider before you make a move. And at the end of the video, I'll provide my personal advice to you to help you to make that particular decision. And I'll be looking about the criteria. Number one is the admission process, where I'm going to look about what are the resources you need to have, what are the costs associated, what are the examination tests you need to have, or application fees associated with the application process between Canada and United States. Then we are going to look about the work permit while you are a student. How is the work permit? How many hours are you allowed to work as international student between Canada and the United States? And whether the spouse or the family, if you bring the family, your children and your spouse, how are the immigration status going to be? Will they be allowed to work or not be allowed to work? We look at that between both United States and in Canada. We'll look about the health insurance for you and if you have the family. We'll look about the work permit soon after studying. What will that status be? Will you be given opportunity to work, and if yes, for how long? That is another item we're going to look. And in the last part, we are going to look about what will be the possibility, first of all, not in the last part, the possibility of getting the scholarships between United States and Canada. And if you are going to do a self-financing student to go to study on your own, what are the costs associated and the fees between Canada and the United States? And overall, we are going to look about the life as a student and the possibility of transitioning or doing adjustment from international student status to become a permanent resident, which will be the easier between Canada and the United States. It's a lot of things put them together. So welcome everyone. In case today is your first time to come to this particular channel, you are at the right place, at the EBM Scholars channel, the headquarters of opportunity, the headquarters of where we give and share this kind of information for you to be able to succeed. Not just to go as international student, not just to become a permanent resident, not just go to Europe, but how are you going to transition? How are you going to succeed once you go to those particular countries? So if you are first time here, consider subscribing to this particular channel and share this video. Share this channel to your friends and colleagues. Share to your Facebook. Share to your WhatsApp groups so that others also can be able to benefit. And that is the purpose of the EBM Scholars. So let me go through all these areas I've been able to mention. There is an overall conception that many people have put to others that Canada is the easiest country people to go. So because it's easy, people are thinking it's just like going to the toilet. It's just you wake up, oh, I want to go to Canada. You just go, wake up and you want to go to Canada. It doesn't work that way. There are procedures. There are ways to go. But today I'm talking about international students. So if you want to go as international student, obviously you have to be admitted to school as international student. So that's number one. You have to go as a student, you have to be admitted as a student. That's how you get the student visa. There is a video I talk about the student visa for the United States, which is more or less the same to international student visa to most of the countries. So, number one, you have to be admitted at the school. Once you're admitted, either there are two things: you pay on your own for tuition and fees, or you get scholarships. But before you go to whether to commit yourself, you are going to pay for your own or get scholarships, there are a few things you need to understand in the admission process, and we're going to give the distinction between the United States and Canada. In the United States, in order to get admission, whether it's bachelor degree or graduate studies, master's or PhD, you have to take the English proficiency test. There are two types of tests. There is test of English as foreign language, TOEFL, or there is International English Language Testing System, IELTS, which is a British version, and TOEFL is American version. You can take one of these two exams, and you can apply any country around the first world countries. They provide scholarships. So whether you apply for scholarships or not for scholarships, you have to take one of these exams. TOEFL is 210, 220, I think. The IELTS is about $300. So choice is yours. So you have to take the exam. Both in US and Canada, that is a requirement. Yes, I understand there are few universities that have exception. Don't wait for the exemption or waiver or all that kind of crazy thing. Prepare yourself that is full loaded. Because while you are waiting for the waiver, someone in India, someone in China, someone in Nigeria is going to apply and is full loaded and is fully prepared to get these scholarships or admissions without asking for the waiver. So don't wait for the waiver. So you have to know that is the number one requirement. The number two, so they have similar requirement on that. Number two requirement is application fees. Both the United States and Canada, each university, 99% of the school you are going to apply, they are going to request for application fees. But in Canada, most of the universities, they have high application fees. They have almost $70 to $100, most of the universities. In the US, they start between $30 to $75. So in the US, they have lower application fee. So that is another difference. You have to consider that. But another thing in the United States, which is not in Canada, you have to take extra exam. For bachelor's degree, you have to take the SAT exam or ACT exam if you're high school to go to bachelor degree. But for master's and PhD, you have to take the, depending on the program you are taking, you have to take the GRE exam, which is a graduate record exam, or you have to take the GMAT exam, which is graduate management admission test, or you have to take LSAT for taking for law, or MCAT for the medical, and so on and so forth, kind of that way, which is extra money. And in the United States, those exams, when you take, you don't send the results on your own. The results must be sent by the owners of the test. So that means for TOEFL, you have to pay extra $17 for any university for the Education Testing Service, ETS, to send that transcript or the results to the university. For GRE, GMAT, whatever, you have to pay $27. So if you go, it goes up to $100, just like in Canada. So that is something you need to know when it comes to the application process. And I will talk about scholarship at the end, whether which one will be easier to get a scholarship, whatever. So you get admission, whether you're going to pay for yourself or you're going to get scholarships. So overall, because the United States is a combination of 50 states, which is like 50 countries, it has so many universities. It has so many big universities which have opportunities for you to get scholarships or assistantships, as we call in the United States. Canada, yes, they have, but Canada doesn't have many universities. Remember, the country of Canada has population about 35 to 38 million people. The population of Canada is less than the population of California alone. So United States has so many universities, so you can have opportunities to many universities compared to Canada. So that you need to know that the competition to get those scholarships in Canada, it becomes even more intense because many people will be applying for those ones. So if you are applying, don't wait for the sympathy. Go full application. Is a very competitive, prepare everything as required. If you want to talk about more scholarships, I will give the link about how you can be able to download this book, which is the PhD Scholarships for Africans in the United States. But even if you're not looking for scholarships, particularly in America, even in Canada, the procedures which I've explained here in 498 pages are applicable in Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United States. Everywhere are the same, because how you write competitive resume will be the same in all other kind of ways. So those are the few things I have other books for scholarships. So let's forget about that one. So work permit. Let's go to another point. The work permit in the United States and in Canada is the same while you are a student. Meaning, if you are a student, you are allowed to work maximum of 20 hours per week. But the minimum wage in Canada and the US differs. In Canada, you can have a little bit higher minimum wage. You can get even $12, $13, $14. But in the US, most of the universities provide around $10 to $13, whatever. It depends on the city, the cost of living of the area, and the university itself. So, but in general, in both, you are allowed to work as part-time, 20 hours maximum. So technically it's part-time during the school year. When the school is closed during the holiday, you are allowed to work full-time. So that is both is the same. But there is one big distinction between these two, and this age goes to Canada. If you come with your family, if you come with your spouse in the United States is not allowed to work. If you come with a dependent, which you call F2 in the United States, you come with your children, your spouse or children, if they're above 16, they are not allowed to work under the dependent visa. But in Canada, if you come with your spouse is allowed to work full-time, will be given the work permit. So if you want that age to come with your family and to have a very good life, you can go to those countries. You can go more to Canada, and your spouse will be having the opportunity to work full-time while you are working part-time and you are studying. So you can have a very good income and continue with your studies. So for that particular case, I'll advise you to apply for Canada for that particular opportunity, which is much better in Canada than in the United States. So then it comes to health insurance. As an international student in America, you have to pay for your health insurance, and mostly you apply as most of the schools, they have the group insurance for international students, or just for students insurance. You can be able to apply, but you have to pay for that. In Canada, you and your family will be into the public or the government insurance, which is more affordable, and Canada has the better, or if you compare it with the US, Canada is way ahead into the very good public or health insurance compared to the United States, which is more privatized and more expensive. So in Canada, we'll be able to have very good public health insurance. Let's go to look about the work permit now, soon after finishing the studies. In the United States, once you do bachelor degree, master's, or doctorate, you are given what we call OPT, optional practical training. Sometimes there is CPT, curriculum practical. That means while you are still studying, you can be allowed to work as a full-time. But that is very few universities, depending on the programs. But optional practical training are mostly post-studies. After finishing your studies, you are given a specified period of time to be able to work in the field you have studied as a full-time to practice what you have studied. In the United States, you are allowed to work maximum of 1 year. So it is 1 year. It doesn't matter how long did you finish your studies. If you study bachelor degree, in the US bachelor degree is 4 years. Most of the masters is 2 years. PhD is 3 to 5 years, most of them. So whether you study PhD 5 years, or 1 year masters, or 2 years masters, 4 years bachelor, you'll be given 1 year of the OPT, work permit, work kind of that. If you're in science, you can get 1 year and a half, 18 months to apply for the OPT, that is extension kind of that. Which is not a lot, remember. Once you finish you apply to take a month, 2 months to get the work permit, or 3 months with the pandemic, then to start working, it will take longer for you to get a job, full-time job, and which is good one. But in Canada, this is a very good thing about Canada. Yes, you are allowed to work as full-time after studies, but the period of work permit in Canada, which is they call postgraduate work permit or program, whatever they call it, PGWP, whatever. So that postgraduate work permit you are given in Canada, it is very long. If you go to study in Canada, bachelor degree, and you study 3 years or 4 years, you'll be given a work permit of 4 years. So the work permit depends on how long the study is. So if your study is 1 year program, you'll get 1 year of work permit. If your bachelor degree is 4 years, you'll be given 4 years. If you go for masters, 2 years, you'll be given 2 years of work permit. If you go for PhD and you study for 4 or 5 years, you'll be given a 5 years work permit. So for that particular case, I advise you to go to Canada because you'll have the opportunity of longer work permit, which will give you the opportunity to work as a professional work permit. You see that one? And with that one, it takes me to the next level. Another point which is related to that. How easy or difficult it is to transition from student to become a permanent resident. In the US, it's very, very difficult. Why is it difficult? Because in the US, most of the immigration is not a merit-based immigration system. Yes, you have the green card lottery, permanent residency through the lottery system, which is a random. Each year they do that. But you do not know if you'll be able to win. So the priority is that one on the lottery, but also the priority, which the higher percentage of the green card or permanent residence in America is through family related. Myself, I'm a US citizen. If I can apply for my parents, I can apply for my spouse if he's not an American citizen, or the children of that. So there is a priority. There is a preference. Or if you're a green card holder, you can apply for your relative, but it depends the level of preference. So overall, the immigration in America is based on the family and the lottery. When it comes to the professional visas, if the company employs you, it depends on if that company wants you. So first of all, that company will sponsor you from international student visa if you are on the OPT to get the H1, which is a work visa. Then from work visa, you'll be able to apply if they sponsor you. If, it depends on if, whatever, they sponsor you to become a green card holder. So that is if. So it depends on how you are loyal to that company and your expertise and whatever they need. And also there is a cap on that, those kind of the professional visas based on the work sponsorship. But in Canada, there is 2 ways. Number one, there is, there are so many ways, but I want to give you, if first of all, there is what you call express entry, which is a merit based. You can apply, get the points. So if you have a degree, bachelor degree, master's, depending on the program, you get a certain points. Your age, you get points. The language, you get points. Work experience. But because you're an international student, you're already in Canada. You get extra points because you have education from Canada and you have work experience from Canada. And you are speaking the language in Canada, which is English or French. So all those are going to add more points to you as higher priority compared to someone here. Even if you have masters, you don't have that priority. If you don't have a family, you are not, your spouse is not a US citizen, whatever. So it is very difficult in US than in Canada. But also there is a special pathway program for international students. Let's say you are going to do PhD, 5 years. Then you get the work permit of 5 years. By working as a professional already in Canada, they have a pathway program for international students to apply to become a permanent resident of Canada as a pathway, as a student. So for that particular case, if your aim is to go to a country to study and possible to become a permanent resident of that particular country, I advise you to think about going to Canada. Why? Because number one, your children will have a very good public health and free education. Also, US, they have free education from kindergarten to high school. But 2, your spouse will be able to work in Canada full time. In US, your spouse will not be able to work full time. But the other reason is you'll have a longer practical training, or what we call postgraduate work permit, compared to the US with OPT, which is limited to 1 year to maximum to 18 months. But in Canada, you can have even 3 to 4, 5 years, depending on the length. And they already have more programs for you to transitioning to become a permanent resident of Canada, just based on your experience and work and everything from Canada. But in the US, you are limited with the family, and sometimes the employment-based system is very difficult and is very narrow. So the life after post-studies and the life after being finishing your practical training to transition to permanent resident in Canada is very, very high. You have more chances than in the United States. So if I finish, just to compare the two, if I tell you now, where should you go? I advise to go to more in Canada if you are looking forward your immigration to have a very better success rate. It will be more in Canada than in the United States. But if you want just education and to finish your education to go back to your home country, I'll advise to come to America, because you can have better, bigger experience and you can be able to go there. But if you want possible to stay in that particular area and possibly become a permanent resident and US and the citizen of that particular country, Canada has a better opportunities, better chances than the United States. So that is my overall, if I compare between the two, US and Canada, and which one provides a better opportunity for international students and possible adjustment to become the permanent resident of that particular country. Do you have any question up to that moment? I know there are so many people are looking forward to this video. You have been able to ask all the time which one is better, so it is better to use which one is better based on the criteria I mentioned in that one. There is a video to talk about the work opportunities. That will be a separate one. But this one is just like a possibility of becoming a permanent resident, whether US or Canada provides that good opportunity. So thank you so much for your continued support. Remember, do two things. Share this video. Subscribe to this particular channel if you haven't done so. This is the headquarters of opportunities, where we want you to go to a certain country, but also not just to go there and just become washing dishes every day. You wash dishes, but how are you going to become the CEO? How are you going to become a director? How are you going to transform and help the communities you are from, but also the country you are in, as a professional and a good citizen of that particular country? Thank you so much. This is Ernest EBM talking to you from my home office here in Belton, Missouri, United States of America. Goodbye.